Hey gamers, Rick back here with Game Trade Media at GenCon 2018 in the Lucas Oil Stadium. We're going to talk with Ross and Bruce from other companies. They're not together on the company front, but they are together on the game front and the fan front. And we want to talk about GenCon, just GenCon.
GenCon.
So what has been some of the things that you guys have seen that makes this the con that you guys like so much?
Well, then I'll start with, this is where everybody brings the biggest fireworks they have available. Right. Everybody carts in whatever the ridiculous idea that like the one crazy person in the team's been working on all year. This is when they wheel the thing up, and fire the human cannonball out. We were talking about it ahead of time. Restoration Games, company I really like, takes sort of old classic board games and redoes them with a modern aesthetic. And they kept saying, we have something you've never seen at Gen Con. And right. I knew what it was going to be. I was like, I know what it has to be. Because they said, well, if you're a Fireball Island fan, you're really going to love this. And I was like, it's got to be a Penny Smasher. They're going to bring I can't believe they're going to bring a Penny Smasher. And then looked, they had a Penny Smasher with every game they make, and it was literally hand them 50 cents and a penny, and you get like one of those collectible smashed pennies.
Oh,
nice.
Cool. Awesome.
And as a nerd I love tourist traps just as a human being.
Yeah.
And I was like, and every time I've even talked about it with our folks, I'm like, this is very much kind of like a tourist trappy feel in the best, most lovable way. Yeah, in the most lovable way. And I've said in the past, like, I wish we'd do something like that.
Right.
And to see them do it and to see a line around the block for it. And they don't even have a big booth. They have a really tiny booth. It's mostly like, here's a game, here is a Penny Smasher, and people are lining up for it. And it's just so awesome to see everybody kind of like just sort of flex their creative muscle.
Right.
And say like, hey, we're going to put a cat on a rocket as an inflatable above the booth. We're going to bring a Penny Smasher. We're going to have a human-powered machine that spits out bananas. Like, just that kind of stuff is really cool to see here.
Absolutely. How about you, Ross? What are some of the things that you've seen like in that vein that you're like, wow, that's crazy?
Well, I think it's one of the fun things about Gen Con, and then I kind of just at cons in general right now, is everybody's trying to get that what will go well on social media, what will go well that people can interact with, right? Because obviously they're going to get the product and they're going to be a part of the brand and do all those things, but you want to get a way that actually deeply engages with them.
Absolutely.
And I really thought the kids on bikes.
Oh, yeah, man.
The big photo shoot thing, that was super cool, right? And there's been a couple of things, like I like big statues and stuff. So Kingdom Death has their big statue there, which is always fun. And then like Weird has their
big bear.
Yep. I kind of miss Privateer when they used to bring out Old Rowdy.
Right.
Like that guy was the coolest ironclad ever. I miss those guys. And I didn't see a big Space Marine from Games Workshop this year, but I always like those things.
Yeah, those are the best.
Those are fun. And I think at Gen Con this year there's been a lot. And what's been neat is it's all spaced out.
Yeah.
Right, because like even though like Thursday morning everyone's at the booth and they're rocking out and they're like we were squished. It was so close. Everybody's trying to get the product they need to get, but there's so much going on all over the place. Like I love going to the Ram and seeing how they're all done up, right? And Scotty's Brew House is all done up over there. Right. But we've got like the True Dungeon has its own space. They really flushed it all out, which has been super awesome.
Right. It's not so much at the convention center anymore. It's here at Lucas Oil. Down as you come right down into Lucas Oil Stadium.
Which this is crazy. There is like a separate convention. They're playing laser tag here. Like
Johnny, can we see the monitor, please? We'd like to take a look at what's going on down there.
Yeah,
let's
take a look.
Look at that.
Like clearly, oh my goodness! If you take a look right by the Gen Con sign, someone just appears to be mini golfing.
Is that the case? Oh my gosh!
I believe it is.
Sunday.
Oh my God is my witness. He's playing mini golf.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's just
and that's
really
just and that's just a very small look at this what's going on out there.
100%.
You've got, like you said, laser tag. You got the Bopper Sword Arena.
Yep.
You've got the game library.
And the game library, it's all those things. And so, coming from a person that goes to Comic-Con in San Diego, right, and they build an experience that is like blocks and blocks deep.
Right. San Diego literally embraces Comic-Con in the gas lamp.
Right, and Gen Con is for the last 50 years has grown from where it was at like Geneva to now, and Indy really embraces it too, where you get a lot of these different restaurants and companies that are thinking outside the box, and they're like, hey, how do I take my my 30 by 30 booth and then expand it out to what can we do out in this restaurant here and do all of that. I think one of the like USAopoly, they for their new game Privacy, they had gone and got little hotel door handles, right? And so they were like, do not disturb. So they covered up like a bunch of floors at the hotel with those. And like that's little cute things like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's like, That's pretty fun.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Indianapolis has embraced GenCon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, cities and cons, they don't marry up very well.
No.
Baltimore Comic Con's been going on forever, but Baltimore Comic Con, you go outside the con, there's no real recognition that it's existing right now.
No, and same thing with Otakon, which is Otakon is a huge Japanese animation convention that's been there for years and finally moved because people would come out and goodness, I love my city, but you would see like all the people in cosplay and it would be awesome, and then they would mesh up against like the Orioles and Yankees fans coming out of a game, and it would not be pretty, because the city didn't say we're gonna with open arms do this. So it's like like Yankee fans like, hey, you know what you can do with yourself, and you're like, oh. My word, this is.
But here,
there's a block party going on outside.
Yeah.
All the food trucks, and there's the stage going on, and all like Gen Con's really done a good job. Like once all the construction finished up, and kind of really exploring that out. And I love that Lucas Oil Stadium's been a thing and all of that. I do miss when there used to be playoff season games with the Colts playing here, and I do miss when they used to have the big biker rally.
Right.
Like those are just fun things you look forward to. But it's the more that we can see the whole event just be blocks and blocks deep, it makes everyone feel better, especially when they're not staying super close.
Sure.
Yep.
Right? And then that way that they still feel that they're part of the expo.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you get all the people that may not be able to get to the convention itself proper.
Yeah.
Can still enjoy some of the events outside of the convention at those locations that, like you said, that go blocks and blocks beyond the convention center.
Well, even with Gen Can't.
Right.
Like you see a lot more people that, hey, they can't make it to the show, even though like Gen Con's like one of the biggest ones.
Right.
And they just, for whatever reason, they can't make it to the show. So there's a lot of game companies that are kind of embracing with that and engaging with them on a fun level.
It's so good.
And it's really nice to be able to, hey, we were able to check out the new games going on here. Hashtag Gen Can't do it up.
Sure.
Boom, boom, boom. It's great.
Now, as vendors here at the show,
and
your customer service interaction, what has been the pulse of the consumers walking about and coming to your booths, and they're like, what's their energy like right now?
Well, I mean, I would imagine for you with the new Batman game coming out. No, I mean, like, because we were talking about that ahead of time, because, I mean, we're all just game fans here, so it's not like I'm not paying attention. It looks fantastic, and I would imagine everybody I talk to is like, yeah, you got to check it out. Like, I have a Batman tattoo, and people are like, oh, no, you need to try to get over there and check that out. So I imagine a lot of people have to be really excited about that.
Yeah, they really have been. It's been fun. I just missed being here at the booth.
Right.
Like, the Joker got involved. It was crazy. We had all these antics, but so we didn't have it here at the show, but the demo has been booked the whole time. It's been weirdly funny. Richard Lanius, the designer, has been coming in and like sneaking in on demos too. We're like, oh, I want to play, and then Tom will see him and be like, oh, by the way, here's a designer. Oh, and so
that's great.
So everyone's really enjoying that, and awesome to bring that up because like people have been coming by and been like, hey, like here's Batman. Can we check out what's going on? But what's really neat, I think right now is like a couple years ago, like we could all tell you what the top games of Gen Con were. Like,
right.
It was like 5 or 6, but now we've gone from 1,000 games coming out a year to about 5,000 games coming out a year, right? And so now when you think about what's the top game of Gen Con, you have to kind of like rack your brain and go, well, I don't know what the top 3 are, but I can tell you what the top 20 that I'm looking forward to are.
Right.
Right. And that's really cool that all these companies are able to make games that we're all looking forward to, and everyone's rushing to get.
Yeah.
And there's been a fun mix of the hardcore gamers who are like, I have my list, right? And then I have people come up and go, hey, do you have Master Red Death? Hey, do you have Batman? Look, and I'm like, oh, cool, you are in your zone. Well, people are like, hey, what's new? And they're walking around with Root, or they're walking around with, some kind of Fireball Island thing, or they're walking around with the new Privateer Montauk stuff, and everyone's like, hey, I'm getting my new stuff. But also, oh my gosh, what do you got going on?
Right.
And so I think we're in this awesome renaissance period for board games right now.
Absolutely.
Right. And everyone's trying to engage in whether they're going to have the next big game or a little game or these tiny stuff. And there's so many more creators that are doing things, and people are getting engaged on that level. And so it's neat to see just all what's happening. I think everybody's really excited to be a part of gaming.
I agree.
And then
how about you?
With us, we have so many different kinds of games. We have like kind of quick, goofy party games that people are coming in and embracing that they didn't know were coming out. And they're like, oh my goodness, this thing with this looks like the Lebowski. What's going on here? And they're checking that out. And then we also just got Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. Awesome. So we have the
I can't even say that. Say that again?
Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg, which we will be calling the Quacks of Quedlinburg when it comes to this country later this year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it won the Kennerspiel. So we have like
wait, so hold on, say the name and the award it won.
Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg.
And it won what?
It won the Kennerspiel des Jahres.
Sorry, I just love that. That's
I
great.
know.
Sorry.
I had to, and the killer is when we got it, I butchered it even worse, and I've gotten slowly better.
That's so
as
cool.
we've
That's
been
so
doing
funny.
it.
It's rad.
But we learned like last week that it won the awards. We're like, oh my goodness, we need to bring
Awesome.
it.
Right.
And people, what's amazing is this crowd. It's the wonderful mix of people that like aren't the most hardcore. Exactly what you're talking about. They don't have the list. They're just like, hey, dude, what's going on? Let's check it out. And they're coming to see our games. And then a lot of people that are like, we heard you have the award winner. It's not in English. You have the only English copy on the floor. We
Right.
need to check this out now.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have both of those. Then we also have Most Wanted, which of course is like our kind of King of Tokyo style Partegic game.
Right.
And people are loving that as well. So it's just so neat to see like we have this heavier game, check this heavier game out. We have this light game, and all of them people are involved in and engaged in and loving.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is to watch them kind of bounce from one to the other. They're like,
Right.
well, I played your heavier game, but I've been listening to these people yell and scream, so I got to figure out what this is.
Right.
And it's kind of nice to be at a show because some shows, as you well know, you can get one or the other, but you can't get them to cross over. Like,
Right.
you either get really heavy gamers and they're awesome, but you try to show them something like, any kind of the goofy sort of quasi-kid stuff like Happy Salmon or something.
Right.
And they're like, I'm too good for it. I'm too good. I'm not going to
Well,
run around.
that's
I'm not
because
gonna-
they haven't played Happy Salmon yet. Happy
agree.
Salmon's like one of the best.
It's so much fun.
It's like, oh, you don't know Happy Salmon.
Yeah.
Hold up, man.
For me,
Yeah.
like Happy Salmon and Funky Chicken and those types of games are my icebreakers.
Yep.
Like if I have a bunch of friends that I was like that may not be so into gaming,
Yeah.
but you want to come over and check out because they know that I have a huge library of games.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, what are we gonna play first? I was like, well, we're gonna play something light and fun and get everybody involved.
And then once
I'll-
they're in.
once they're now they're
Exactly.
happy. The happy event that
Yep.
you've just given them, they're like, what's next? And then you show them something like, what's one of the most heavy Euro games you can think of right now?
You're like, let's grab Terra Mystica. Let's
There you go. And they're-
let's grab Terraforming Mars and make that happen.
Oh, we had some people last night at the hotel, that's another thing that GenCon really does, right?
Yeah.
People are playing games everywhere.
everywhere.
Oh,
Everywhere,
yeah.
and they're playing games everywhere. Like, we're staying at like the Sheraton, which is like a little bit back. It's still walking is fine, but we're hanging out playing games. And people that had set up Scythe at like 10 p.m. last night, and I'm like, wow, you guys are about to play Scythe. And they're like, nope, it's going to be our third time trying to play Scythe because we keep having to go somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, because it's a long game. And they go, well, we aren't working tomorrow anyway, so we're all good. And I'm like, you are all good.
Champs.
Right?
Champs.
So we finished playing around like 11:30, and they were in. And I'm like,
That's
oh, man,
fun.
you guys are in for another couple hours. That's going to be great.
So one of the things that I've encountered since this week, and I've encountered at Gen Con in the past and many other game conventions, is the acceptance of this community. I was walking around, I want to say it was Friday night, just late in the evening, just
Yeah.
in one of the hotels, and there was a group of guys around a really amazing diorama over at the Hyatt.
Okay.
For Dungeons and Dragons or
Yeah.
Pathfinder that was playing right there. And as I'm walking by, they're like, hey man, we got an extra seat. Would you like to play? I'm like, these guys don't know me from Adam, but they're just willing to let me come and sit at their table. I was like, I would love to. However, I cannot because
the other me would love to be playing games right now.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I would love to play this game
Yeah.
because you guys all look amazing and this diorama looks amazing. It's going to be fun. But the fact that they just asked a stranger, and that's one of the things that
Gen Con
Yeah.
is so good for that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
that if you want to play a game and you don't know what you want to play, just walk around, and people are going to be like, they're going to see you. They're going to see if you stop and you look, and they're going to say, "Would you like to join us?"
Oh, yeah.
And they're not going to judge you. They're not going to be anything other than, I may want to destroy you because it's a non-cooperative game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But in that context, that's what game is about, right? But they're just so welcoming, and this community is just such an embraceful place to be.
Yeah, I was really shocked. So Tuesday, similar story. Tuesday, I was at a hotel way up the street, just because that's kind of we prep and then we come in and then we kind of come to the closed hotels. And I was just looking through the components of a game. I picked up a game on the way here,
Right.
And two guys just in the hotel walked by and they're like, "Are you trying to play that? Because if you need two more, like we'll get that for you. Or if you don't want to do that, we got about 6 games with us. We know the show hasn't started. And I mean, like I'm literally
so
just
cool.
like I have a cup
Yeah,
of coffee.
that.
I have like a hood on, and they're like, "Man, like you're clearly part of what we do here. So like if you're trying to get that played, like we don't know what it is, but we'll
Right.
give it a try.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to mess with learning the rules, I mean, we got stuff." I was like, "Wow, this is Tuesday, 3 miles away. Like it's
Right.
just everybody's
so
here
good.
and everybody just kind of
Right.
wants to hug, and that's
Yeah.
really a cool thing to see."
Right.
It's definitely fun, and I always appreciate the Sunday and Monday flying out too, because we'd be at the airport and you
Right.
see who's there playing games.
Yeah.
At the,
You're like,
on the-
who's going to Gen Con?
Yeah, right. Oh well, on the flight in. Oh, we had half our flight. was like, oh, who's doing Gen Con? And you're like, oh, all these people are doing it. And then we had a bunch of people next to us that live in India, but they were Airbnb-ing their downtown places. And I was like, that's really smart.
Yeah,
that's
so
really
smart.
Yeah. But Gen Con, I think, was from all the shows.
Yeah.
From all the shows, I think is one of the most diverse and open and very friendly and very inclusive.
Absolutely.
Which is cool because as gaming becomes more popular and more people are playing games and finding games through all the different routes, because even though like they aren't on Board Game Geek or the Board Game Group or whatever, but there's through Kotaku and IGN and Geek and Sundry, they're finding more and more of these things, and as more games are played on Twitch and on live stream as we're doing, right, and there's more people finding these things. It's not just Monopoly in Dungeons and Dragons, and so as we will find this hobby, it's great that we are open to going on. And while it's difficult and there's not it's not always a good time, the cool thing is that the greater good is making it happen.
Absolutely.
And that's what's excellent.
It's so good. So on that note, we'd just like to say thank you, Gen Con, for allowing us all to enjoy this environment, this community, and everybody that has come to Gen Con this week. Thank you so much for being so kind and embracing to everybody around you and playing all the fun games. I'm Rick.
I'm Ross.
I'm Bruce.
And we'll see you at the game store.
Thanks for watching Game Trade Media. Make sure to leave us a like and click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content.